If you think you need a fancy camera to start a YouTube channel, you don't, because this is all you need. In this video, I'm gonna show you my setup, what I use with my iPhone here to record videos with just the iPhone, nothing else. Let's jump into it. Hey, I'm Andrew, and I help real creators get unstuck and grow meaningful YouTube channels one video at a time. In this video, I'm gonna show you my exact setup that I've used the last few videos as I've filmed with only my iPhone. Hey, if you've ever felt overwhelmed and unsure where to start with your YouTube channel, grab my free Creator Clarity Starter Pack in the link in the description below. It's just a set of tools and templates for you to use and help you get started. All right, so let's go over what gear I'm using in this setup. And we'll start with the camera. Obviously, it's an iPhone, and it's the iPhone 16 Pro Max. That's the phone I have and I've had all year long. And so this is just something that I already have. The iPhone is gonna be something you already have. You might have a different phone you can film with. But the whole point of this video is to not have to purchase a camera, to be able to use your iPhone to make high quality videos for YouTube and not worry about needing a camera. So that's the main gear that you're gonna have is your iPhone. There's just a couple accessories around that we're going to add to it to make it just a little bit better. So the first thing you're gonna have to do for your iPhone is get a tripod or some sort of stand that it's gonna be mounted to so that you don't have to hold it while you talk. Now, you can walk and talk, you can do those type of videos. And what I have here is the Joby GorillaPod. It's an old tripod, small tripod that I've had for many years, and I've just kind of outfitted it with the iPhone mount. And so the great thing about this GorillaPod is it's portable, it's small, you can set it up on tables like I have here. You can also hand hold it, and it helps, you hold the phone out away from your body so you can walk around and do more of a walking and talking type video. It's a great setup for that. It's really simple, it's cheap. You can get some smaller ones for like 20 bucks. This one was probably, I think, about $50 or $60 when I first bought it. So it's a little bit beefier. It actually can hold up a mirrorless camera on it, not just an iPhone, so it's a little bit more sturdy. But you're gonna wanna start with something to hold your camera. And so specifically, the mount that I'm using on this Joby GorillaPod is a monitor mount that's actually a MagSafe mount. So it's magnetized. So I don't have to like clip my phone in. It's magnetized to the MagSafe magnets on the back of my camera or on the back of my phone. And it's actually meant for using on top of your monitor, kind of like using your iPhone as a webcam. It comes with the screw mount that I just mounted it to the Joby GorillaPod. And so now I have it swiveling. I can quickly mount it with a magnet. One other thing you can buy that's really cheap, probably like $3 or $4 on Amazon, is something like this. This is also a Joby mount, and it's just a phone mount with springs. And it has a little threaded screw hole right here for the tripod or to put onto a Joby GorillaPod. And I've used that as well, but you have to just kind of open that up and clamp that down, then you have to worry about it clicking buttons or whatever. So I actually just use this because it's just simpler. But you can get something like this really cheap off Amazon, and that'll work just the same. So the last part of this setup, and probably the most important, is what mic you're using. And I'm using the DJI Mic 1. There is a Mic 2 out, and there's also a Mic Mini. This is the original DJI microphone. And it basically just comes with two transmitters. It comes with this box right here that you store it in. It's a battery charger, and then here's the second transmitter right here. But it comes with the two transmitters and then the receiver, which is right here, plugged into my camera, plugged into the iPhone, and it just integrates. It seamlessly connects the video and the audio together, so I don't have to do any of that in post like I would with my mirrorless camera or another camera I'm using if I'm recording to the computer. I don't have to worry about making sure that the audio and the video aligns. It does it all automatically within the iPhone. And so this is a really good microphone. It's super portable. You can take this anywhere. It's tiny. It has a ton of battery life, and you're able to go outside and really go anywhere and get good, clean audio. And you're not gonna deal with hassles like cables or anything else, or trying to do a separate audio recorder. This just streamlines the whole setup, makes it super easy, and gives you good audio right from the start. So now that I've gone over the equipment in the setup, let's talk a little bit about where you set up. So that's the equipment I'm using to make the iPhone look good and use it for YouTube videos. Now you have to think about where you're setting up. And the main thing you have to think about when shooting on an iPhone is lighting and how much light you get. You want as much light as possible. Outside is great. It's gonna have a ton of light. Near a window, like I have a window over here, a doorway, and some windows back here that are letting natural light come in, which is making it nice and bright in this room and allows me to use the iPhone without having to jack up the ISO or the gain to make digital brightness in the image, which makes it cleaner and you just get a lot less noise. It actually looks very good on the iPhone. So you need to make sure you're looking for lighting, and not just any light. You want as soft as possible. Soft just means the shadows. Just look at the shadows. If there's hard shadows, it's a hard line, that's a hard light source. If it's a cloudy day like it is today, the shadows fall off really smoothly, there's no hard line, that's a soft light source. So a really soft light source outdoors, if you buy a light, a softbox or something like that, that's great. You don't need it. That's the whole point of this setup, is you can use daylight, you can use window light to make your image look good and to light up your scene enough so that the iPhone doesn't struggle with making a clean image. You gotta have good light. That's key for shooting on an iPhone. You also have to make sure your background looks good. Now, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It just can't be super distracting. If you're filming downtown somewhere and there's just people walking by, going, to and from, you're hearing all the noises from the cars, like all that's distracting. Just make sure, just pick something that has some depth to it. I'm not shooting straight against a wall or near something because I want to have a little bit of depth of field, the blurry background basically, in my image from the iPhone. The iPhone sensor is very small, so it's not gonna get a lot of blurry background unless the subject, myself, is far away from the background. That's the only way you're gonna get that. And so that's why I've kind of pushed that back a little bit and came out here into the middle of the room. And so just look for somewhere in your house that's like that, or I've gone to a park or wherever and just sat down. Get some depth in the background, make sure it's not distracting, and it'll look great on camera. And like I've already just touched on, make sure your room is somewhat quiet. It doesn't have to be a studio. You don't have to have a place that has no echo. There's a ton of echo in this room right now, but it just has to be quiet enough that you're not having a lot of distracting noise outside of your voice. So it's really simple. You just walk into the room, you kind of talk. If you can hear a bunch of other noises, the microphone's probably gonna hear some of that. So just find a room where it's nice and quiet and set up there. All right, so now I want to show you how I make it look and sound good in post. But before I do that, I just wanna mention, I don't film with the native iPhone app. You can totally do that. It's a great app. It's really easy to use. What I use is the Blackmagic camera app, and that's from a company called Blackmagic. They are a camera developer. They created DaVinci Resolve, which is the software that I edit in, and they do a lot of stuff in the world of cameras. And so they've created a camera app for the iPhone that allows you to shoot in the Apple log, and it has all the different settings I might want as a video shooter. And so there's a lot of manual settings in there that you might not understand, but essentially I'm able to set manual white balance. I'm able to set manual exposure with the ISO, so I limit my ISO to not go as high as it couldn't go, or it's not on auto. I also set up manual shutter speed. And so that allows me to get my exposure the way I want it without adding too much noise, and it gives a really clean image. It also lets me get Apple log. And if you don't know what that is, that's really techy and nerdy, but essentially it is giving you the most amount of information from your sensor in your iPhone, which means I have a lot more latitude when I'm editing to get more exposure and to get the saturation I want and the white balance I want and the colors and contrast and all that. So I come from a video background, so that I understand that that might be something you do not need to do. 100% you don't need to do that. It's something I do because I already know that whole setup. I'm gonna show you it here on the computer so you can kind of see what I do to help this iPhone look a little bit more professional. But you definitely don't have to do it. So just know that going forward. Let's jump over the computer. Let me show you what I'm talking about, and I'll show you how I do quick color correction to the iPhone footage as well as my audio. All right, here we are in the computer, and Now I'm going to show you just a little bit about how I make the footage and the audio from the iPhone look and sound professional. Okay, so I just dropped a little clip that from my last video in the timeline. And the first thing, I'm not going to show you anything about Resolve. We'll go into that in another video. I'll do a lot more deep dive tutorials into the software because it is free. You can have the free version, incredibly powerful. It's something to get really good at if you want to edit your videos. But anyway, so I'm in the timeline. I'm going to come over to, we're going to do the color first. And so I'm going to come over to the color tab. And this may look a little crazy, but in DaVinci Resolve, they have what are called nodes, and they all connect and kind of go through like a timeline. And so if I were to turn all these off, this right here is Apple log. So you can see this right here. It's really flat looking. There's not a lot of contrast, not a lot of saturation. This is what it looks like coming out of the iPhone when you shoot Apple log. If you shoot, it'll look more like this. It won't look like Apple log. It'll have some contrast and saturation, all that. If you don't want to do any color grading, don't shoot Apple log. Just shoot the standard picture profile, shoot on the standard Apple camera app, and you'll be fine. But this is for the little more nerdy that want to look at some of these settings to make it look a little bit more professional, because I can tell you I will get better image editing this myself than letting the Apple app do it itself. So here it is, and it's in all of its glory, just flat as can be. Well, if I add all my nodes, then you're gonna see some of these adjustments I've made to the image. So the first adjustment is a little bit of an exposure adjustment and color balance. The second adjustment is how I get it to what's called Rec 709, which is the standard color profile for all video formats that go online that aren't HDR. So basically I'm setting Rec 2020, which is actually what the iPhone is using, and then the Apple log input gamma, and that just converts it to the standard image that you would see out of the iPhone without any of the compression. And then I just add a few different color adjustments. I have a LUT that I've created that I like to use. I add some sharpen, just to sharpen up the image a little bit. I add a little bit of a vignette. I add some glow just to soften the highlights and bloom it out a little bit. I add a little bit of film grain just to give the image some texture, and then a little bit of contrast and a little bit of less saturation on that last node for the adjustment. So essentially that is what I use right there, and that's how I get the image to look good. That's how you still see some clouds in the background. It's not all blown out like you would see if you shot just straight from the iPhone. I can get skin tones where I want them. I can do all the editing I want. Again, that's really advanced. I'm not going to go into that now, but that's how I do that. So let me jump over to audio and show you a little bit about how I create the audio or edit the audio that I want. I'm going to pull it back here, and essentially all I'm doing is dynamics and EQ. So if I hit play,
that here, and I'll start with the top. So we'll look at Ali Abdaal.
All right, but what I'm going to do is come over to the dynamics, and essentially I'm going to add some compression. So I'm just turning on the compressor. I'm bringing that down a little bit, the ratio down, softening it a little bit, and then I'm going to bump up the gain. So what that's going to do is it's just going to level everything out. The really loud parts and the really soft parts are going to become a little bit more neutralized. And then in the EQ, I have a preset, so I'll just load it here. In fact, I have a preset over in the dynamics that I can load to show you what I do exactly. I do add a gate so that some of the lower frequencies drop out. And then on the EQ, I also have a preset. And so in here, what I'm doing is I'm boosting a lot of the highs because the DJI is down by your chest. So there's a lot of booming chest voice noise in it. I'm dropping some of that frequency out and then still keeping some of the bass here. So if I were to click play now with those two things on channel in a YouTube business, and he has, I'm gonna go straight through the numbers. It's gonna get really nerdy. Hopefully you can hear the difference from before and after. It's a lot nicer, it's a lot cleaner. You have the highs that really punch, and you have a little bit better dynamics with the audio. All right, so that's the setup I use. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Obviously, I know that last little sector, I went into a little bit more nerdy detail of trying to make the image look professional. And I think that can be something you can grow into. If you're just starting out, I would advise don't even bother with color grading. Don't even bother with some of those details. I would edit your audio though, in whatever platform you're using. I would give it a little bit of a boost so that it sounds just a little bit more crisp and clear. You can do that with the EQ, where you just do kind of what I showed you how to do on the computer, but you can also use other effects in those software. I wouldn't bother with the color grading, but if you want to make your iPhone look like a professional camera, or at least similar to a professional camera, that's how you do it, and it's pretty simple once you learn that process. Thanks for watching, guys. If you feel overwhelmed and stuck with your YouTube channel, again, grab my free Creator Clarity Starter Pack. It is linked in the description below, and that is just, again, a set of tools, templates, and things that you can use for, title, your hook formats, your script formatting, things like that. It's totally free. Hit the link in the description below. Also, leave a comment and let me know your process and your setup for shooting with your iPhone, if that's what you do for your channel. And again, subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next video.